Welcome to this session of Pursuing God with David while quarantined. Today we are looking at a fascinating story in 1 Samuel, the 30th chapter. The life of David is a very interesting study, and each of these stories is another nugget of truth that reveals a little bit more of David's life and his relationship to God. And we begin to understand why he was called a man after God's own heart. In this story, while David and his men are gone, his camp is attacked by the Amalekites. They take everything he has. And they also take all the children and all their wives away with them. So when David comes home, there's nothing there. He grieves and his men grieve and they weep. And so David does what he should do. He pursues God. He seeks God and says, God, what shall I do? And God says that he should go after the Amalekites, pursue them, and get his wives and his children and everything he has back, all of his possessions. So David does that. While in pursuit, he comes to a ravine. And the Bible says that out of the 600 men, 200 of them are too tired to go any farther. So they wait there, and David takes the other 400 men, pursues the Amalekites. Well, God gives David a great victory. He defeats the Amalekites, gets all of his possessions back. No one is harmed, all the wives, all the children. Plus, he also gets a lot of other plunder that the Amalekites have collected. And so he has a lot of plunder, a lot of stuff that has been collected. And so when they get back to the area where they had left the other 200 men, the Bible says that the other 200 men came out to greet them. And it says that the evil men and the troublemakers said, because you did not go with us, you will not share in the plunder we've recovered. You can take your wife and your children, but that's all that you get. You didn't help, so you don't get anything. But that's not David's heart, and that's not what David says. David says, no, my brothers, you must not do that with what the Lord has given us. He has protected us and handed over to us the forces that came against us. Who will listen to what you say? The share of that man who stayed with the supplies is the same as that of the man who went down to battle. All will share alike. And David made this statute and ordinance for Israel from that day till this. It shows that David was generous, that David was full of grace and mercy. And that also showed that David was grateful to God and recognized that everything he had, God had given him. He recognized that his success in battle, everything he had achieved, that God had done that with him, that it wasn't his strength, it wasn't his might, but that God was with him. You see, there's a lot that we can learn from David. Isn't it true that everything that we have comes from God, that he has blessed us so abundantly? And David says that right after he had been attacked, and he recovers everything. Even in times of difficulty and stress, as we are in now, you can find that God has blessed you, and you can find ways to be generous and to give to those around you, to be appreciative of God's blessing in your life every single day. To say with Paul, I have learned to be content, whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. And so when we live a life of gratitude and appreciation for all that God has done, even in difficult times, it makes us generous to other people so that we can share the gifts of God, and also gives us a cause to worship him and to thank him for all that he's given us. Look around today and find ways to thank God for what he has given you today, because today he has blessed you. I'll see you later.